Hello, welcome to Data Engineer YouTube channel. So in the previous sessions we covered all these topics, so as promised, so let's get started with the project 1 today, which is extract, transform and load data in Azure Data Factory, a small project. We will be covering all these topics as mentioned in this Excel file, so make sure to subscribe the channel so that you can get all the content. So let's get started. We'll start with the architecture. So project 1 is based on Data Factory, extract, transform and load operation. We will also include Dataflows so that you can get a deeper knowledge of Azure Data Factory, right? So this will be the architecture which we will follow today. So we will have two Excels having two different tables inside it, one containing student related data and another containing teacher related data. Okay, so that we will store in a Blob storage, which is also a resource of Azure. Further, what we will do is, using Azure Data Factory, we will fetch these both the Excel, will perform a join between them, we will create a table, we will store it in again the same Blob storage which we have used, but in the form of Parquet file. Now what is Parquet file? It's also just like Excel files. We have CSVs which are a bit compressed as compared to Excel, but if we talk about the Parquet file is the highest compressed format file. Okay, so that means whenever you want to store anything, definitely, let's say you want to store some historical data, you can store it in Blob storage in the form of Parquet files, because they take very less space as compared to other type of files, right? So this is the project which we will start with. So I hope you are ready. Don't worry, even if you haven't watched the above videos, like the videos which I have already created, no issues. We will start from scratch. We will create Data Factory from scratch, so don't worry. Okay, so let's get started with it. So before starting, let me show you the tables. So these are the two tables. This is the teacher table, which consists of teacher ID as the primary key and then some details regarding teacher, and then we have student related table, right? So this is like some edtech companies data we can think of, and based on that we have to perform this operation. We have student name, teacher mapped to the student, mail ID of student, enrollment number, whether the student is enrolled or not, and so on. Here enrollment number is the primary key, we can say, right? The engagement number is the primary key, this is the enrollment number, and based on that we have everything, right? Now what we will do is, I will just minimize this part and let me just open my Data Factory. Okay, so this is my Data Factory, a simple student subscription I have created. Okay, inside that I will create my resources. So first resource I want is a storage account where I can store both the Excel files, right? Now what I will do is so basically what I will do is, I will click on this create button. Once I click on this create button, so I will just give the resource group. So I already have a resource group, so I will not mention it. Now further what I will do is, I will give a account name. I will say prod storage 2022. Okay, so this field only contain lower numbers, and numbers must be between 3 and 24 characters. Okay, so it is not accepting this, so I will just say prod storage, it should be small, so P should be small and S should be also small, and I will just give it 2022. Maybe this account name is already taken, underscore dev. Underscore is also not allowed, right? So you can just give a name, any name you can give, right? Now what I will do is, I will tell that my region should be East US. That means my data will be stored where? In East US. Okay, so physically it will be stored there, right? Now I will click on review. It will have some validation checks, so let us wait for it. We'll click on create. It will take a bit time to create your Blob storage. You can see the details here in the notification panel. Now I know it will take a bit time, so what I will do is, I will go to home and I will start creating Data Factory. Okay, now what we need to do is, I will go to home, I will click on Data Factory, As I don't have a data factory, I will click on create button to create a data factory. Once I click on create button, so I will just give the same resource group name. I'll give data factory name data factory prod 2022, something like this, and again I will click on review and check. Okay, so it will do some validation checks. So my validation got failed. Let me see the reason why it got failed. Click to create data factory. Okay, the name I guess maybe is wrong. Okay, it's fine. Let me just check why it failed. Okay, git configuration is fine. Alright, okay, I guess it passed now. Okay, so there may be a glitch. Okay, so I will just now click on create button. Once I click on create button, two things are created as of now: blob storage and data factory. These are the two resources which we require for our project. So that's all, right? It's in progress. Till then, what I will do is I will go back to my blob storage. What I will do is I will upload those two Excel files. So I will go to containers in blob storage. My blob storage name is prod storage 2022 dev. Okay, I will create a container. I will name it as prod. Prod stands for production. I love this name. P should be small. Now I will just create a folder. This is containing a container. Basically in Azure language we call it as a container. Okay, so in this container I will upload my file. Simply there is upload button, so I will click on this upload button. Okay, so I will click on this file structure. I will go to my desktop. Alright, inside this desktop I will search for my CSV file. So one is teacher, I will press control button, another is student. I will click on open and I will just press upload button, and my both the files will get uploaded successfully. Yeah, now this is done, right? We have two files. I also want my output here itself, but that will be done via the data factory. So let's go back to data factory. Hopefully it should be created. I will go to data factories, data factory prod 2022. I will launch the studio. Now in this studio basically we will perform some operation. We will create data flows, link service and everything to fulfill our project. So let's do the hands-on. It will take a bit time to load. Okay, it's loading. Till then what I will do is I'll show you the architecture again. As of now what we did is we took these two Excels, we uploaded it in the blob storage, and now we will try to link data factory with this blob storage. How to do that we'll see in that. Based on data factory we will then further do some transformation on our data, and we will finally store the data, like the final output, again in the blob storage in the form of Parquet file, not Excel. We can do Excel also, but Parquet is the highest compressed form, right? Now what I will do is my data factory have opened. So what I will do is I will click on, firstly I will click on manage. Now firstly what we need to do, basically we need a processing power, then only we will that will help us transform our data. So processing power is provided by integration runtime. There is a by default integration runtime. Whenever you create a data factory, it's already created, which is auto resolve integration runtime. I will go for it. I will use this integration runtime only. Now second thing which we need to create is a link service. Now what is a link service? Okay, whenever we need to interact with a person, firstly we need to create interaction, a connection between two people, right? We can do it by rapport making, like by introducing ourselves, taking their introduction and so on in normal life. Same way, now what we want to do is, this is our data factory and this is our blob storage. We will need to make a connection between them. So that connection can be made using link service. We need link service to create a connection between data factory and the blob storage, because we need to take data from blob storage. Now your question may be, what if it is SQL, or what if it is some other database, or what if it's an external database? Definitely we will create a link service, we will create a connection, but that will be a separate link service. To create a link service we need to click on new. I will click on new, and now what I will do is I will go to Azure. I will click on blob storage. You can see a lot of type of link service we can create. We can create for Cosmos, and a lot of things are there. You can just go through it. I'm creating it for blob storage. I'll click on continue. I will just name it as Azure Blob Storage LS. LS stands for the link service. And then what I will do is I will give the integration runtime name, which is auto resolve integration runtime. I will select my subscription name. I'll select my storage name. It will automatically come because everything is environment of Azure itself, so it knows, right? I will test the connection to make sure my connection is successful. If your connection is not successful, definitely there is some problem. Make sure to debug it, or you can put it in comment section. I will resolve it for you, no worries, right? Now we need to click on create button. Once we click on create button, it will create a link service. Our link service is finally created. Okay, now what we need to do is our integration runtime is created, link service created. Next step is we will create our datasets. Now what are datasets? Obviously datasets are schemas, right? So we have Excel files. Excel file have tables inside it. Tables have schemas. Schema means columns, right? Column names, the headers, right? Now obviously both the table may have different schemas, so we need two datasets. So datasets are basically used to define the schema of the table, right? Now what I will do is I will click on author. I will go to the datasets. Firstly we'll create dataset, new dataset. So firstly what I will do is I will go to Azure blob storage, continue with what kind inside blob storage, what kind of a file we have is Excel file. I'll click on continue. I will set student. Firstly student dataset. I'm just writing short form at the behind, just for naming convention. It can be anything. Student dataset. I choose my link service, connection between that dataset, between that table and the data factory, right? Now I will explore where is my file. It is in prod container, right? We recently created that prod container. Excel sheet. Okay, I guess I selected teacher one. I need to select student one because I just gave it a name, student dataset, right? Okay, so it is loading for the sheet. I have single sheet which is student details, right? Now make sure this is ticked because my first row is the header. Okay, so I will tick it and I will press OK. Now once you press OK, it's doing its processing. Let it happen. So once it is done, we will see how we can preview it on the same way, like just how we created student dataset. We will be creating what? Teacher dataset also. Obviously you have created student dataset and then you need to also create the teacher dataset, right? Because we have two tables. Let's say 5 tables, 5 datasets if they have different schemas, right? Now what we will do is we will click on preview data. It's doing, it's happening. Let's wait. So patience is required. So obviously everything is happening on cloud and we are using student subscription, so obviously it will be a bit slow. Let's wait for it to happen. So it's processing. Alright, until it process, we have something called publish all. Now what we mean by publish all? This Azure Data Factory can be shared by multiple people. Let's say I am working on Data Factory, maybe there is another developer who is also working on Data Factory, maybe there is a third developer who is working on Data Factory. Now the question is, whatever I have done as of now, is my changes are the changes published, are the changes permanent? No, I need to press publish all, then only my changes will be permanent to this Data Factory. Now by mistake, even if I press this reload button, all the changes would be vanished and I need to start from scratch. Alright, so make sure you click on publish all button very frequently if you want the changes to be permanent, obviously, right? If you don't want to make the changes permanent, definitely not click don't press the publish all button. Okay, it's taking time, so what I'm doing is I'm skipping this part. Already it have taken the schema part, right? It's already here. so no issues. It's fine if it is not loading also, it's fine, right? What I will do is I will click on publish all to publish whatever changes I have done as of now. It's you know, it's not a compulsory step. To be sure, I don't want to take risk, right? I don't want to create everything again afterwards, like if I press this reload. So publish is successful. Okay, I will create now another data set. So I will create a new data set, again Azure, the blob storage, right? Continue, the Excel sheet, continue, very easy, right? Teacher, data set, and link service. Okay, so I will give the path. Okay, in my prod contain a blob storage, there is a teacher's Excel sheet that contains my teacher data, data. So sheet name, it's loading, so it's teacher detail. Okay, and first row is there is a header, and I'll press OK. So finally my all the data sets are created. Now the question is, what's the next step? We need to join both the tables and we need an output. For that, like, we need something called data flow. So there are two things. If you want to modify the data internally, we will create data flow, and data flow will work on the top of a pipeline. If you want to simply do the data movement from one place to another or something like that, definitely you can simply use pipeline, no need to go for data flows. But as I told, our project is in depth, we will be using data flows. So let's do that. So my both the data sets are there. Now I will create a new data flow. I will say source. What's my source? Okay, so my source is what? This is my source one. I will say student data, student source. Okay, and I will provide the data set, student data set, and I allow schema drift, means if my schema changes, it should not give me some error or something like that, and I can do data flow debug. Okay, now what is data flow debug? I will tell you. Data flow debug is something like we are getting the debugging processing power. Like when I click on inspect, if I will go to inspect, I will be able to see everything, right, related to like what tables I have. Even I can see the data. Okay, top 1000 rows I can see. In our case, the data is very minimal, so you will be able to see everything, right? It's turning on because it's a processing power, so it will take a bit time to turn on, right? So now we have a lot of option. Data preview, you can see data preview. If I refresh it, you will see all the column name. Make sure these will be only top 1000 rows or whatever you have specified. This is not your entire data, it is just for debugging purposes. So it is fetching the data. I will not wait for it, but if you want to see, you can definitely see. It's fetching again. Now this is my source, right? For student source, I also want teacher source, so I will say and add another source. This is my teacher source, and it will consist of my table regarding teachers. So I just need to provide data set, that's it. Okay, and if we just go to preview, I guess it's again loading, so it will process parallelly. Okay, so I got it, right? So this is the data in my students table. Same way there will be some data in my teacher source also. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to perform a join operation. There are multiple operations. Whenever you want to modify the data internally, what you need to do, you need to have a data flow, and in data flows, just see these are the options which you have, right? Now I just want to create a join between them, right? So I am just taking a join between what? Student table, and left side I want student table, and right side lets me take teacher source. Okay, so this is the, let's say I want which join? I want a full outer join. Okay, means everything is there. So I have taken a full outer join based on your requirement. If you want a join, if you want anything, you can do it here. If you want a derived column, everything is easy. Okay, you can try for it. Now what I want is, after joining them, right, I can even do the data preview. Like after joining, it is saying transform stream is invalid, fix error to enable data preview. So there is some error in join. Let me just check what. So join setting, let me just see carefully, everything is fine. Okay, so we haven't provided the column on which join should be there, right? Okay, so let me just go to Excel. Let us find the primary and foreign key, obviously teacher ID, and here what it should be, and here should be teacher mapped, right? Teacher mapped with teacher ID, right? Okay, so teacher mapped is the foreign key and teacher ID is the primary key. Let me just go for it. Okay, perfect. Alright, now I guess it's fine. Yeah, we gave the join condition that based on teacher ID and that ID you basically do a join, and now you will be able to see top 1000 rows. So I will just tell you one thing. Initially when I started working on Data Factory, right, I thought in preview everything came, so it wasted entire day. I wasted my entire day just because I was not getting the accurate results. So make sure you will not get all the data, you will see only top 1000 rows. Because my data is less, only 21 rows are there, so these are displayed as it is, but make sure if you are working on lakhs of data, so top 1000 will be shown, right? Okay, it's very yeah, now it's fine. Now what I will do is, I took a join, now I want to sync this data. So what I will do is I will click on sync. Okay, so sync, I will click on sync. Now I need to tell I need to give the data set of sync also, so I need to create it. I don't have a data set for sync, I need to create, so I will click on new. Okay, what I will say is I want a new blob storage. It should be of type Parquet because I want to compress data, and I will say final output. It is my final output, and then I will select my link service. I will press OK. Alright, and that's it. So now what I will do is I will need to go for setting file name option. We can say output to single file. I want the output in a single file. I don't want any particular partitioning scheme. I need to set a single partitioning for that. Okay, and output to single file, I will give the file name as final output OP. Okay, final OP. Now what I will do is, that's it. Now the question is how okay, I can preview the data, I can preview my data from here, data preview, but the thing is again there is some error. Let me just check for that error. Okay, so let's just go for sync. Let us see if anything we left out. Okay, so it's fine. Errors output to okay, so we haven't selected link service, so I am selecting the link service. Okay, so I guess everything is fine, and I am getting the maybe I will be able to get the output. So I will click here to see the error. I'm not sure what error is there, so I will click here. So column name cannot contain special character or spaces using synapse or Parquet form. Okay, so column name cannot get the spaces. So what I will do is, whatever is the final output, so this output is containing the columns having what spaces on it, so I don't want that. So what I will do is in the sync, okay, so what I will do is in the source itself, so I will just go to projection and I will remove if there is any space. Okay, so there is no space here in this student table. Sorry, so in the teachers table we have one thing like teacher ID which have space, so I will remove it. Okay, so it will not create a problem, I guess. So I guess it should be resolved as of now, because we have no space as of now in any row. Obviously it got resolved. Now what I will do is I will publish everything. Okay, so I will publish all the things to make sure whatever hard work I have done, whatever is done, doesn't get deleted or vanished. Okay, so make sure whenever you want to make the changes permanent, to the publish part. Now this is done, Dataflow is created. Now how to use this? Okay, we got to know, like we can debug it. Okay, now I don't want, I am turning it off. Okay, otherwise it is costing me. Okay, so now what I will do is I will create a pipeline to use this. Okay, so I will click on new pipeline, and this pipeline should what do? Should trigger this Dataflow one, right? So what I will say is I will go to activities, I will search for data flow. Okay, and what I will do is in this data flow I will say this is just to trigger that data flow. Okay, so I can give reset second after 30 seconds how many times I should retry. I should not retry. I should, if it is pass then pass, otherwise fail. Okay, I don't want to make it retry. Okay, so I will go to setting, I will select the data flow. It is data flow 1. Which integration runtime to use? Auto resolve. Computation size is small, very small, right? Verbose basic none. Logging level, like you want to log the details or not, like how the processing is happening or not. If you have a very large file, you want a very long, like you have millions or trillions of rows in a basic file, so you can avoid this because it will cost you a lot. So based on your things you can definitely go for it, and that's it. You can click on validate to see if of possible errors. There is no error, right? So this my pipeline is created. I'll publish this pipeline 1 created. Okay, now I'm publishing it. Now there are two methods how we can basically trigger this pipeline. Trigger means activating or starting this pipeline. Either we can add a trigger, okay, trigger now, or add a scheduled trigger, or we can debug. Okay, so in debug you will get verbose and all, you will get more error details and everything. In trigger you are just triggering this pipeline. Okay, you will get less error details. So I just want to trigger. I know it will work fine maybe. So, and trigger pipeline uses only when your pipeline is published. Let's say this is not published and you want to activate it, or you want to start it, you will go for debug. Trigger only happens if your pipeline is published, if it is permanent, right? So I have recently published everything, so it is done. So what I will do is I will click on trigger. I will click on trigger now, and that's it. I will press OK. Okay, so what's happening? It triggered, and now the question is where I can see the runs. I can click on view pipeline run, or simply I will go to monitor. I will go to triggers, and here I will get my triggers. So just see, it is in progress. It is very small, like 27 rows only. It will take very less time. Within seconds it should happen, but we have given small compute, so it may take time. So let's see how much time it takes. So till then, if you're at this moment, at this part of the video, definitely please subscribe to my channel. You can just click on the button so that I can get more motivation to create more videos for you guys. Right now it's still happening. Let's wait. Now what will happen is, let us see the architecture. Till then we took these Excel, we stored them in the blob storage. From the blob storage we just brought them into the data factory using the link service. From data factory we just performed some operation, which is the join operation, and then what we did is we just dumped it in the form of Parquet file in the blob storage itself. Okay, so Parquet is a type of file. Okay, so I'm just seeing, and I'll just refresh it again. Still it is in progress. Okay, so I can just click on pipeline while to see more details, like how much for I can just see by clicking on this that how much rows are copied and everything. So I can just see it out. So it's loading. Okay, alright, so sync is in queue. It's in queued. Basically I'm using a student subscription, so it may take time, so don't worry. If you are on a premium package, definitely it will happen faster. Alright, so I just checked it. So our data factory failed and it gave me an error. So let me show you that error. Okay, so just a second, I guess it's a bit glitch. Okay, so it gave me an error that the pipeline data flow execution failed because container does not exist. Okay, so the reason being, so what you need to do is you need to go to final output. In this data set we need to define the path. So this path was not present, due to which it failed. So I will tell I'll just click on browse only. So I will say that inside this production container, what we need to do is okay, so just press OK, and I will write the file name. Okay, so what's the file name? Whatever we have given in Dataflow. So inside Dataflow we have given in settings output to this single file name as final OP. So I will in the final output also I will give the name as final OP. Okay, I will publish this change also. Now I'll click on publish button. Alright, so this is how you debug also. So in this video you got to know how we want to debug the pipeline. Okay, so simple error, simple thing we missed, and now it is done. Now again I will trigger the same. So let me just click on author, go to this pipeline, click on trigger and click on trigger now. So it will just load. Because we are using student ID, so it takes time. Otherwise in production very simple pipeline will be happening in seconds, right? So I'll go to monitor. Again this is my failed pipeline and this is started. So it took 4 minutes. So if everything was fine, like at the last stage only it should be successful. So maybe it will not take much time now. Let's wait. So just see, this is succeeded and it took 4 minutes 25 seconds. You may say for 27 rows it took this much. This is because I am using student ID, and the second thing is I am using low compute. If you take high compute, millions of rows it can do in some minutes itself. Now one more correction I did was, so if I go to author, make sure in sync part the mapping part. Okay, so don't do it auto mapping, otherwise it will take the teacher ID as its. So make sure there is no space in teacher ID. Okay, so here. Alright, so now let's check for the output. So if we go to the blob storage, obviously where the output will be stored, we have said in our blob storage itself there should be output, right? We defined it in dataset, if you remember. Now we will again go to containers. Inside the container we will go to prod container, and inside that we have the Parquet file, which is final output. Now Parquet file is something which you can't read. Okay, so even if you download you will not be able to read because it is in binary format. So what I will do is, you just I'll tell you the way how to read it. You just open it, just rename it. Okay, final OP, and just write dot Parquet. Okay, PARQUET. Okay, so just write the name Parquet and then just press enter part. Okay, so once you do it you will see something like this. Now what you need to do is, you need to write online. You can just check for online Parquet viewer. Okay, so there is a one very good Parquet viewer. So I guess not this one. Let me just check it. Alright, so this is one of the Parquet reader. What you do is, you just upload the file. You go to downloads. So this is only recommended if you are making dummy project, not your production data, obviously, because these sites are not reliable, and you are able to see the data, right? So this is how your data looks like. Number of columns you have, number of groups, number of rows, and everything is given. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was an end-to-end project. I hope you learned everything. Now what you can do is, obviously you will say that I don't want to create this even data factory. What should I do? Okay, so what you will do is, in the manage part there is something called git configuration. Okay, so if I just click on configure, and if I just configure my GitHub here, so just I will provide you a repository name, so you can link your repository. Okay, so you need to tell the repository link and you need to continue, and you will get it. Now what you can do is, I will publish everything, this dataset, Dataflow, link service, everything in Git. Okay, in my Git I will provide it. What you do, you just clone that repository in your Git, and then you link it from here. Definitely everything from that Git will come here automatically. Okay, so that is another way. So but I will suggest you make it yourself, have fun, and you will learn a lot in Data Factory. If you have any questions related to anything, definitely put it in comment section. I will happy to reply the same. Thank you.